here's Vanessa again, Gingerbread Cottage. Today we are going to make apple strudel. And I want to speak briefly about how I make it and how the original dough is very time consuming. And even the best chefs in Vienna, very, very well-known chefs today, say that you can use puff pastry. And it's much easier. And I need to use puff pastry because I simply do not have the time to make the traditional strudel. And actually it tastes very, very good. I think it tastes better, but I don't want to have anyone be mad at me here for saying that. So I buy these sheets of puff pastry and I'm just going to roll them out a little more. So the original strudel was made with what the farmers had. It was made with very sour apples. Apples you usually don't eat. They were either used for cider, making cider, or for apple strudel. They also had grapes, of course, and when the grapes dried and became raisins, then they used those as well. Another thing they used was hazelnuts and butter, of course, because every farmer had butter. So here I have a mixture for you. I'm going to show it to you, and I will just tell you how to do it. I'll take some hazelnuts and roast them in the oven. Here is about a pound of butter, melted, and then about a pound of hazelnuts roasted in the oven and then put through the food processor until they were pretty fine. A pound of icing sugar, a few drops of almond extract, and the juice of 1 lemon. And I always make a lot because I also use this mixture for cinnamon nut rolls. So you can use it for different things. So here we are. We'll put this mixture on here. Okay. The original strudel was made, you drizzle butter, melted butter, over the dough, over the pastry, and then you add a little bit of, this is a little too much here, add a little bit of ground nuts, a little sugar, and everything is sprinkled on separately. What they also used were breadcrumbs, which of course they always had, leftover bread. But I like to kick mine up a notch, and this is a fantastic recipe. I've developed it, of course, using the same ingredients, but a little different. So here we have our peeled apples. I take maybe 3 or 4 apples I need for this one here. So you just take your mandolin slicer and you slice the apples right on top of the thing here. What they used to do is slice the apples first, put them in a bowl, put a little lemon juice on them. That's too intense for me because the lemon juice is already in the mixture, so I don't need it, and mine don't even get a chance to get brown because they're going to be right away in the oven. So here's the third one. You don't want it too full because then your strudel gets soggy. So yeah, maybe half of one more. I also want to show you, you see in the back of the picture, you see a jar with raisins. And I do soak my raisins in rum which is also something they never did at the farms, because it was just too fancy, I guess, or too expensive. So I do that as well. So here we are. Look at this, looks fantastic. Here we take some rum-soaked raisins. I usually fill this jar up with raisins and then add some good rum, dark rum, to it, and close the jar, and the raisins will plump up. Wonderful. And you may want to use this also for other things. So here we are, and here we have cinnamon. Goes on top, and be generous with cinnamon. So next thing we do is we take our puff pastry and we kind of tuck it in. And roll the puff pastry up. You tuck in the ends. Just tuck them in, squeeze them together like this. Yeah. And then you take your puff pastry, strudel, and here I have a pan. I have a big commercial oven, so if you don't have a long pan like that, you can also take the strudel and go like this, wind it over. I have to put some weights on mine because my convection oven, through the air, the hot air, it blows up and then it folds over the strudel, so I can't do that. So now the strudel goes into the oven. So here strudel is in the oven. This is a convection oven. So I'm going to close the door. I have it on about 400. Turn it on. Takes about half an hour. Yeah. In your oven it may take longer, and you may have to put it a little hotter, maybe 425, maybe 45 minutes. Okay. So here's our amazing strudel. That's what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. And I cut a piece off here, and you can see how wonderful it is. It's coming up as it should. Has fantastic apples in it. And I'm going to put a little bit of icing sugar on it and see how it makes it look fantastic. You can serve it with whipped cream or with vanilla ice cream, all nice combinations. Now, what I also want to say about the strudel, again, just to make it clear, the ingredients I used are the ingredients of the original apple strudel, like it was made in the farms in Austria. The only thing it's different is the process. The dough is different, but as I mentioned already, puff pastry dough is perfect to use. I make a paste instead of sprinkling the ingredients onto the dough. And I also made it a little bit better by only using roasted hazelnuts and not using the breadcrumbs. That goes back to the farmers, trying to save, make it as cheap as possible. They had cheap apples, sour apples. They all had hazelnut trees. So hazelnut is the original nut to use in an apple strudel. And they also had sour apples, and they had the raisins, and they of course had butter. So that's all that was plentiful available in the farms, and that's what they used. I have a different philosophy. I'm saying, okay, it's different times. We can kick it up a couple of notches, make it a little bit better, and just go with the times, right? So the strudel still looks the same, but as I say, it is a little richer. And my guests should absolutely adore it. That's our signature dessert. So I wish you good luck with your own baking, and we'll see you next time.